Hello everyone, this is David, and this is video number 5 in the series of Glorioso plays the music of Roland Trogan. In this installment, I'll be sharing with you Trogan's solo violin piece entitled the Mas Ficciones. The music, which is a compilation of 18 short pieces, was written and recorded in 2006 and was performed by a wonderful violinist named Gert Kumi. Gert's performance of this piece, as you'll hear, is truly stunning and breathtaking. The music is inspired by one of the short stories from 20th century author Jorge Luis Borges, which presents the bizarre account of a character with a perfect phonographic memory. The music here in Trogan's violin work depicts the madness of this tortured mind with the ability to remember, without exception, every moment of its life, every second, every minute, every detail down to the most minute and mere insignificant with perfect clarity. This theme in mind, we can see how Trogan insightfully crafted his composition with creative musical ideas to parallel the concept. Some ideas include melodic retrogrades, repeated notes, such as those found in pieces number 4 and 5, which parallel the obsession and fixation with the minute details of the character's thoughts. Other creative ideas could be found in the quotations within the work, where ideas and phrases are literally repeated, and some quotations found outside of the music itself. Such a clever example of this is where Trogan, in piece number 7, quotes the first 6 notes from the incipit of his earlier solo violin work from multiple decades earlier. The music, in its entirety, gives off a very uneasy and bizarre aura due to its unsettling melodies, dissonant intervals, and bizarre rhythmic gestures. And yet, its aura alternately presents emotions quite exciting, exhilarating, and even provoking. These different and alternating emotions depicted here in the music accurately describe the mental state of a mind having been cursed with such a gift. A gift which, in its supernatural ability, initially drives a compulsive, overactive mind with thought-provoking fascinations to subsequently leaving the mind completely overhauled and verging on the brink of unequivocal madness. The choice of orchestration, as well, most adequately lends itself to the concept. A solo instrument occupying an empty space parallels perfectly the singular entity of human thought, both inner vision and inner monologue, residing within the dark, empty spaces of our consciousness. Although Trogan doesn't give much more insight to the music than myself, he was inspired to write his own liner notes for this piece, which I would like to share with you now. I quote, Jorge Luis Borges was born in Buenos Aires in 1899, and during his career inexorably revealed himself to be one of the most imaginative minds in literary history. He was prolific, and among his many works were stunning sets of refreshing and innovative short stories that established him as a major influence on the early proponents of magical realism. Borges believed in writing only very brief fictional pieces, and all of his stories are short, in fact. They come under various collection titles. Ficciones is one set of such masterpieces. When I was reading Borges, I came across a particularly strange story in his Ficciones collection, Funez the Memorious. This is a remarkable account of a young man who, after suffering a head injury, was unable to forget anything at all. Funez, his full name was Author Funez, remembered everything, and even remembered the things he remembered. For instance, in recalling a visual examination of a cloud, Funez would have easily remembered the exact appearance and shape of every fractional change of pattern as the image evolved, while simultaneously connecting his benumbing infinitude of ephemeral shapes to the precise second, minute, hour of each separate occurrence. After reading this Borges piece, I was moved to write some kind of music which, remembered, in the strange and haunting atmosphere so typical of the master. That is how the present work for unaccompanied violin came to be, and why I named it Mas Ficciones, that is to say, more short stories. However, my piece is based solely on the single phenomenon of Author Funez, the Memorious. There are essentially 2 kinds of remembering that occur in this music. The first is of the exterior world, outside of the piece itself, such as that found, for instance, in pieces 8 and 9. The former has a very brief quotation of the first 7 notes from my earlier sonata for unaccompanied violin. Piece 9 is in 2 parts and recalls the same brief phrase. In the first half, through stating it note by note and following each by 2 pizzicati. In the second half, by omitting each note of the remembered melody, a contradiction in terms, but still follows them by pizzicati. Another external memory is called forth by the quotations in piece number 16, which are elided. The first is the initial phrase of the national anthem of the United States, overlapping the famous tritone from the chorale melody, Es ist genug. Then there are internal memories in my Mas Ficciones. Piece 1 is remembered in the second half of piece 7, and piece 17 remembers the first half of piece 7. Another example is the last 2 notes of piece 5, which are mirrored by the last 2 notes of piece 14. Also, piece 16 is a referential, not literal, cancrescence of piece 2. The fascinations with memory are present in my violin work in many other instances, but they are obscure and may have slipped my mind. I'm being ironic, as was Borges. An astute performer or listener might discover an abundance of these nuggets. Finally, I would like to offer up to the composer my sincere gratitude. I am both honored and humbled that Trogan decided to dedicate this piece to, quote, my friend and student, David Glorioso. Thank you, Doc.